Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. This is Ad, and he's a guy that I have recently met at the gym, and he's been around the game. Just tell him like about yourself, like give him the breakdown of your credentials or whatnot.
Well, I've been fighting Muay Thai professionally since I was like 16, 17. Been training for 30 years now. And like just in and around the fitness industry all that time really. I've seen a lot of good fighters come and go, and even though I didn't make a big name for myself in the fight world, I've definitely fought some big names, and so been around for a while.
Yeah, you've been around the Soy Thai for a long time as well. You've been around that area.
Yeah, so
that place is known.
Oh
you know. Now the reason why I have you here is because I want to talk to you about combat sports, obviously, and PEDs, and like what kind of PEDs should you be using if you're a fighder?
What are you suggesting?
Like let's say like if you're a fighter, you know what I mean? Like there's certain situations, and I don't want to just be talking about it as in like something that is like completely negative, because I feel like there's some positive aspects to PEDs that can be used in certain ways, and we'll get to that eventually. But I wanted to talk about like the popular PEDs and how that would benefit a fighter exactly. You know what I mean?
Well, you've got, so really just by the definition, performance enhancing drug, that could be caffeine, that like depending on where you want to talk about. If you're talking more about steroids and things like that, then like it's probably fair to say one of the most used would just be testosterone. And
is that TRT?
Yeah, so TRT. Okay. So like the big advantage to that would be your recovery. So like whenever you whenever you do a blood test or something, you're getting tested to see where your testosterone levels are. If you train before then, your testosterone is going to be really low. So part of your recovery is to get your testosterone like back to normal. So that's sometimes why you feel so tired and you have like a lower sex drive and things like that. So the benefit to taking something like TRT, testosterone, would be to just keep that even the whole time. So when you're in a fight camp, you obviously training two, maybe even 3 times a day. You're on a calorie deficit, so you're trying to lose weight. Then you're going through the probably a weight cut at the end. So your testosterone is just going to be dropping all the time. So actually, by the time you fight, you're like a shell of a man, And so if you can like using testosterone replacement therapy, like then you're not going to have that same kind of tired feeling.
So like remember TRT Vitor? So like that specimen right there, he was obviously taking way more testosterone than he should have been.
Well, I mean, it was probably above where it would be naturally. But from all the years of like head trauma, which is really bad for your natural testosterone production, his age also, he was getting on a little bit then. Vitor was like, was he champion when he was like, I mean, he was the youngest champion before John Jones, right? And he's been competing in the UFC since he was 18, and he was definitely using at that age. Like you sound like the old ones where his traps are all huge. So I mean, he was probably taking an amount which was putting him above, like the average natural. But I mean, some people just respond really well to using things like that.
So when you say recovery, that just means like when you're sleeping, your body is repairing itself, and like at a faster rate, and without any hiccups.
So I mean, it takes an awful lot for your body to maintain itself. Like when you're carrying some muscle and stuff like that, it's all extra strain on your body. So like testosterone supports like your muscularity and stuff like that. So And one of the things that some people will notice when they start taking TRT is that they feel sleepy, and that's why it's your body just trying to get you to recover more.
So what, like, besides recovery, what else does TRT allow for in pertaining to fighting?
Okay, well, I mean, it'll help you maintain muscle, even on a calorie deficit. So that's a big one. Your athletic performance is increased because you get a higher red blood cell count. Even at just taking normal, like a very low TRT dose. So it's important to say the difference between TRT and like actually using testosterone as a steroid. Like you'll gain muscle on TRT, but you can abuse it to the point where you get like you said about Vitor and stuff. But you can, there are guys that you'll see 40 years old that are taking just a very, very low dose of testosterone for testosterone replacement therapy, and you wouldn't really know. I mean, physically they look, I mean, they're gonna look healthy and stuff, but yeah. But it also helps with that. Sorry, it also helps with like cognitive function and stuff too, as well. So your memory can be better, your mood, all that. So
would that mean that you have better cardio?
It can, yeah, it can, because you've got the higher red blood cell count.
So you could have like, more muscle than the average man, or maybe even the average fighter.
Yeah.
But you still have the cardio of someone that maybe doesn't have the muscle mass that you do.
It will definitely help. Like it definitely help with the like I said, like more red blood cells mean more oxygen. So yeah, I mean, like in that way, it would help, and the fact that your body's not struggling to hold on to muscle and stuff just means that you're probably going to be stronger too, without really having to work towards being stronger. You can train for a longer time, because it's not as taxing for your body. So there's a lot of advantages to having a healthy testosterone replacement therapy program.
Well, you see a lot of people taking it, in just the fitness world, right? Because the fitness world, there's no testing. They're not fighting each other, so it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Right. And it looks like it's doing like really good things for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I always see that at myself. It's like, when should I take it? Because I'm pussy with those things. It's just like I don't want to take the risk or whatever. Yeah. Even though I see people that are benefiting off of it. But I think at like probably the age of like 50, I'll probably end up taking it.
Testosterone, they say, starts to really decline after 30. So.
Well, it's been a long time since I was 30. So.
I mean, I think that men should get regular blood tests just to see where they are.
Yeah.
I mean, I was before I started TRT, so I'm taking a very low dose now. I've never abused testosterone or anything, but I was 30, and I was struggling to get through workouts, and I was real sleepy, and I was like just feeling like agitated all the time, no sex drive, and I was like, man, like something's going on, like I feel awful. And it was one of my friends had said to me, you should get your testosterone checked, and on the scale that they used in Thailand, the average for a man at like my age then was like, say 2.4 to 8.6. That was like anywhere between there was normal. And that's on a Thai scale. Like Thais have slightly lower testosterone than Western.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but so 2.4 to 8.6 is like anywhere between there, and you're okay. Mine was 0.6. And so, like, it was that bad that when the clinic called me to tell me, they laughed. They're like, you same lady. I was like, well, yeah. So, yeah, I took their advice, and I actually spoke to a few different people about what amount I should take and that kind of thing. And, yeah, I mean, I'm still taking it now, but it's just a very low dose.
And, when you hear of TRT, you also end up hearing about HGH. Is that something that fighters should be taking? I don't feel like it's something.
Growth hormone.
Would that benefit a fighter?
I think that definitely benefits. I mean, some people will say that HGH is just a really expensive fat burner. So I mean, you'll see people when they start to take it after a few months, they do become very shredded. I think in moderation and using the right amount, I think HGH is a great supplement for people to take. And I don't think it offers the same kind of performance benefits that testosterone does. Or moving on to other steroids too, you're not going to get that same like instant thing where it's like night and day difference. But for an overall wellness supplement, HGH could be really good. I haven't tried it myself though. Yeah. I'm hanging on for that.
Yeah, from what I heard is that in Korea, like you could get your test done and see how much testosterone you have. If you're below the average, that the hospital will provide a stack of HGH and testosterone together. I was like surprised by that.
Yeah, that's great, man. I mean, it's awesome for people. Like with testosterone, I think this is one of the reasons I think that men should really check it. Is like the depression and stuff. Like depression can actually cause lower testosterone, but having low testosterone can cause depression too. So there's like all those things and stuff that can make a difference. Those things are all important, man. Like I can't help but think that like suicide would be lower and stuff if this was getting prescribed around a lot more.
Yeah, but there's the whole pharmaceutical industry, right? It's a mafia over there as well. You don't know what's real and what's not, sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, so HGH is not like one of the main ones you should be taking then as a fighter.
I mean, should be, some people should be taking it for sure, but
depends on weight class, you think?
I just think for fighters maybe. I really don't know enough about the performance benefits of HGH. I don't think there's that much research done because it would be over a gradual few months where I could really track it. Yeah. So you'd have to find athletes and then test them now and then again in like 1 year's time. That like HGH, like to really see signs, you'd be needing to use it for about 6 months. Opposed to testosterone, it's like a week or two and you could be a different kind of guy. But I mean, testosterone's a funny one because if you're talking about the what's it called, like the right and wrong of something, like for all it can help with so many things. There's also like, I mean, are you okay with it morally? Like, because you could be a 40-year-old man with an 18-year-old body, but you've got all this experience and stuff. I mean, your timing and everything too, it comes back a little bit because that's something that starts to leave older fighters. The timing goes off, and you're also able to perform better, so you can cause more damage to somebody else. And something that I haven't heard other people talk about is the fact that you could take more damage too. So can you remember Gerald McClellan? He was a boxer.
I've heard the name.
So he was like, man, he was so strong, but he was in a fight with Nigel Benn, and he was destroying Nigel Benn, but like as the fight went on, Nigel Benn took over. And by the end of the fight, Gerald McClellan had taken so much like head trauma that it's like I think he's died now, but he had like severe brain damage. And as far as I know, those two didn't take post-fight drug tests. And I can't help but think that they would have both been taking something at that time as well. I mean, like in the 90s boxing. Yeah. I think it was 90s or late 80s. But yeah, not only could they both give more damage, but they could both receive more damage too. So I can't help but think like maybe if he hadn't have been using stuff, maybe he would have just been knocked out and that would have been the fight. Instead, he could keep pushing and pushing.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like that's an interesting one. That's an interesting point.
Yeah,
about
like
that.
You look at Cody Garbrandt versus TJ Dillashaw. Yeah. At the end of I can't remember, I think it was their first fight. TJ got knocked down and like he kind of looked like he was over, wobbled back to his thing, and then he was fresh, like like a minute later, got his legs back underneath him and ended up winning the fight by KO. Like
suspicious in a way.
Well, because he did like a pop for EPO, but in my opinion, EPO is not a steroid that you would just take. Like that's not the first one that you would do.
Yeah, that's an educated choice right there.
Yeah, and like the risk of stroke and everything with taking EPO, like that's someone that's willing to do anything to win.
Yeah, seriously. Jesus.
So and like when you think about the morals of that, like it's
blood doping.
Yeah, blood doping, and you kind of derailed Cody's career.
Yeah.
After that he was over emotional. Like he wasn't the same fighter again. I mean, maybe he is now, but I think that it changed him in the fact that he was so desperate to get a win back, and whatever he put himself in a bad way.
Yeah.
Because he was 11-0 when he fought TJ.
Yeah. He had won the title, right?
Yeah, he got the title. Yeah,
he got the title from Cruz. And then he just after the TJ fights, they were never.
Yeah,
he was never the same.
And it didn't change as a fighter, but I think he was just so eager to get a KO or whatever.
He just couldn't take the shots anymore. Because man.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Because like TJ Dillashaw was like one of my favorite fighters to watch. He was just complete, right?
Yeah.
But then he gets popped for EPO. Then you just look back at like, man, there was a reason why he looked so sharp.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
If you look at his physique, it was because it was on YouTube the other day. The UFC had put it on as like a free replay thing, and like even looking at his physique, you're like, man, like he's peeled. Cody was in shape. I mean, Cody, like he, was lean and whatever, but TJ just had that extra little, little bit of thickness to his muscles and stuff. And of course, I mean, that kind of did derail Cody for a while. Yeah,
man, that's serious, man. Someone definitely needs to check on that. Yeah, that has serious repercussions if he was doing that. And then they accused him, when he was at the Alpha Male, that he was taking things.
Yeah.
But it's like, why are you complaining about that now? You know what I mean? You were probably there with him.
He was okay when he was in your gym.
Yeah, he's okay. Like, he's one of the best dudes, and he trains with you. It's okay, but you want to complain about it now. I don't like that too much. That's not good on Uriah either, because he runs the gym. But still, it is what it is. It's, those are like kind of like the juicy ones, the juicy, advanced supplements I like to call.
Yeah.
But then there's other ones that people get popped with, like Androbol, and like there's these what was it called? Something blockers.
Oh, estrogen blockers.
Yeah, estrogen. Yeah, there's people getting caught for so if someone's getting caught for using estrogen blockers, right? Yeah. What are they trying to block?
So your body, when you increase your testosterone, your body will increase its estrogen to try and keep itself in balance. And so the problem when you come off testosterone is then your testosterone goes down here, but your estrogen's still really high. Yeah. So what people are trying to do is block it so that it goes back down here.
So you're like really indeficient.
Well, yeah. I mean, you need estrogen. Like it's important for men and women. Yeah. But to block it completely has there's a lot of side effects to that too.
So you're blocking. You're not even blocking the actual steroid. You're just blocking something to make manipulate the test results, basically, right?
Yeah.
That's that's kind of wild, right there.
Yeah, because you don't want to have if your estrogen's really high. For men, you can gain fat more easily. Yeah. Yeah, you can stop talking to your boyfriend for no reason for days. Yeah. But there's a lot of bad things to having high estrogen, but low estrogen's a problem too.
So what kind of, I guess testosterone is probably the main PED that they're using, and then when they're off of it, they use the estrogen blocker to lower it so they could pass the test.
No, so the estrogen blockers just block the estrogen because you get a bounce back. Yeah. So then your body's not having any testosterone at all. So will stop estrogen. Then they'll be taking something else to bring back their natural testosterone production. And as that comes up, they'll wean off the estrogen blockers too.
So they have to be tested quite often just to see the results, I guess, or know it's working.
Yeah, I mean they'll know. I mean, with a bioidentical supplement like testosterone, your body has it anyway. So they'd need to test you over a while to see your natural levels, like it going up and down and that kind of thing, see where you really are. Because from one test, they can say, okay, your testosterone's high, but that doesn't really mean much. It's okay, it's high for him, like it's high for like the average guy, but for him it might not be. Like there's some people which have got really high test or really low test. It's
true.
Yeah.
You know, it's
it's
not you know their fault that they were born like that.
Yeah. Big
so,
old gonads on them.
Yeah. So like if you were a fighter, and let's say steroids were legal, what would be the protocol to like be able to get to the fight at the most optimal as possible?
Like if you could just say, like,
lay it out,
coaching someone like, okay, take this and you'll win.
Yeah, you're a doctor basically.
Yeah.
And you're doing some like experiments.
But you'd have to really be careful, like, because like everything's great to a point, and then it can go to like too far. So like testosterone's great, but having too much can raise your blood pressure. So like it can help with cardio a little bit. It can make it so your heart rate's super high. Just my resting heart rate used to be 48. Now it's 55.
What does that mean? I don't know.
Like so my resting heart rate, me doing nothing
Is
before
more?
TRT was 48 beats a minute, which is that's pretty good. Like that's healthy.
Is it better to be lower or higher?
For an athlete, lower.
Okay.
Yeah, because then it's get like your maximum is like 220 minus your age, so you've got like even more to go for your maximum. So, if that makes sense, but yeah. So like, you'd want to really have like a testosterone base, and then depending on the individual, like what weight they'll have to be and everything like that, you could bring in something like Androlone or Anavar, you know, these kind of things. But everything's got a side effect. So Anavar's it's like one of the most famous steroids.
I've never even heard of it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's really famous. I mean, women can use it as well. It's very mild. But I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm advertising steroids, but like just what it could do.
You're just telling us what it does. You know what I mean? Like I've never taken steroids ever, right. So like I'm a person that's never taken anything. You know what I mean? So I'm interested in it to know like what's out there.
I mean, so ideally you'd want Anavar with a testosterone base, just because it can affect your own natural production. So of testosterone. So you'd want to kind of have that so it's not being too interfered with. So have a testosterone base, they say, and then what it can do, it kind of really works to get you shredded. There are other things that you could take as well to harden up, but they don't really have like performance enhancing benefits. Whereas Anavar, you do get stronger from taking it. It will increase your strength. But again, it's a drug that has its own side effects too. Like one in particular, I was wrongly advised years ago to take Anavar to help me lose weight, and I didn't know what it was. Like there wasn't as much like information. Like you only have to Google anything now, and it'll come up with everything. But yeah, I just thought, okay, this will help me lose some weight, and I'd gone for a run. And something Anavar does is give you really strong muscle pumps. So like if you're bodybuilding, it's great. You get these pumps, but when you're trying to lose weight for a fight and you're having to run and you're doing like a lot of repetitive movements like running or skipping or even just punching, you get these horrific muscle pumps in your legs. So like, man, I'd gone for a jog and I was like, oh man, like I had to stop. My calves were just they're like swole. So I was walking for a while and even that became too much. I just had to sit down. So I was just sat on a park bench for like 30 minutes just waiting for my legs to go back to normal. So like, yeah, I mean, you could get a benefit from it for fighting, but it's also going to have like some side effects too.
What's the other stuff that you were saying?
So there are things like Deca, or which is like really good for your joints, but you gain weight on there. It makes you hold on to water retention. There's a fat burner. I mean, for whatever reason, it's just escaped my head. But it was one that Canelo got caught with, and he said it was in horse meat.
Yeah. It's a fat
clenbuterol.
Okay.
Clenbuterol. It's like a really big fat burner. But great for losing weight. But then, if you're a performance athlete, it's like, especially a fighter, it can like increase your anxiety to like crazy levels. So, like something that people get is like shaking. It's not like a nervous shaking. It's just how your body's working at the time. It'll make you shake. It's got some mild like cardio benefits too, but yeah, I mean the anxiety and everything else, like not being able to sleep and all that kind of stuff, is as much of a problem like as anything else. I think you can do really well just getting everything else right. If you can take like you have a good diet, red meat and stuff like that is important, and maybe even look at like natural testosterone boosters. Like, I mean, I haven't looked into them too much, but like even just getting your zinc and magnesium and stuff right, it is good just to get your hormones okay. And I think for a younger fighter, that's probably the best way to go, rather than suggesting taking other stuff.
Well, the reason why I wanted to talk to you about it is just, to teach people that that this is, out there. I mean, this is something that there are people doing it right now. Let's not lie about it, right? There's people doing it right now. There's people that are getting caught. People that are really really elusive, and they're and nowadays there's enough money out there to the point where you have the best doctors tracking everything for you. And and you can get the best performance. Other professional sports, they people say that's even a PED, is having all the resources. You know what I mean? Like, what about other people that get the extra resources that other people don't get? Is that a PED? So when they compete against each other?
Well, this is the thing. So I was talking about this the other day. Like peptides.
Yes.
Like BPC-157 and TB500, like get really famous now, and there's a lot of people taking them. And I think that like a company like the UFC, I think a great thing for them to do would be make it so that they could prescribe people with these things, so that everybody can take them.
For recovery, right?
Yeah, for recovery. Like so many athletes in the UFC have had like, rotator cuff problems with their shoulders, or their knees have gone, or something. They've had to have surgery. Even Connor, I mean, he like, for sure he was taking other stuff, but he came out of the testing pool to do so, right? So like, there was no harm done to anybody else. But peptides are, I believe they're currently illegal in the UFC.
No, they're not. They're banned, I believe.
Most
of them, right?
Yeah. So, but I think if you're gonna support the health of your fighters, there's not really anything in there that would make them better. They'd just be healthier. Even BPC is really good for inflammation. That's its main purpose. But I mean, inflammation in your body includes the inflammation of your brain. And when you're inflamed, you do become depressed. There's like so many problems with it. So, these things I think a company like the UFC could make it so that they could prescribe all of their athletes with these things.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that if it's for recovery, as in like muscle joints, stuff like that, because that's these guys. I think, like combat sports, athletes, they do the most strenuous training of any athlete out there, especially an MMA fighter. Like, there's not even enough days and time for them to do everything that they need to do. And they
still need to sleep. Man, it has to become a very selfish sport, because like if you're a fighter that's trying to really perform at the top level, you don't have time for another career. You don't have time to go out and earn money doing something else, maintain a relationship, look after kids, all that kind of stuff. Like even cleaning the house, because if they're putting in 100% at the gym, they're exhausted, and then they need to go and do it again later in the day and eat properly and everything else. It's tough, man.
It's very tough, very tough. I hope they start to reconsider like the benefits of some of these I don't even think if it's you could even call peptides a PED, like you said. You know what I mean? Like especially BPC-157. You know, I see people using it, and some countries are allowing it. I believe already, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure, but yeah, like they need to figure that out, and I think most fighters would be, you know, like they would support that, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have much power, man. If you think about it.
If they did, I think they would get a better product of what they're putting on. You're going to get fresher athletes and that are going to perform at a good level, not going into fights with injuries. Like how many times do you see them in a post-fight press conference and they're like, I hurt my hand in training a few weeks before, so you know I couldn't punch too hard. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they need to like have more advanced literature and like really investigate what should be used and what should not be used.
Yeah.
But like all the ones that we talked about earlier, I think those will always be around.
Yeah.
You know, I think forever. You know, and some people will take advantage of it and some people won't. But I don't think it's making you like a 10 times better fighter by doing it though. Do you think?
But with steroids, I mean, you saw Vitor's decline.
Yes.
Like
you did see that. You see some glaring examples. You know, you could be even suspicious of John Jones. You know, his earlier in his career to later in his career.
The fighters that I think kind of stand out that never got caught are the ones that are so far ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
Like you're definitely not trying to accuse anybody.
But everybody's suspicious of certain people. You know.
But you get like, I mean, Khabib, right? Yeah. So far ahead of everybody else. You know, how? Like, if all of a sudden, like, everyone running 100 meters, and then all of a sudden there's a guy that can run 100 meters in 9 seconds, pretty much a second faster than everybody else. How is that?
Yeah, how did that happen?
So,
well, that's a race. That's a race in itself. Like in the Olympic sports, is like who's more advanced. Yeah, the athletes are all advanced, but like who's more advanced with the science?
Yeah.
And how can I put a potion inside of you to where you beat everybody? You know, I was listening to something about how like in the 80s the Russians, they would be already taking steroids for the Olympics, and the women, they're so much better than all the other women that they broke records in the 80s, and they're still not broken. They're still held by these women but they can't test them because they can't go back and test these these athletes. So they're gonna hold these records forever. There's that.
Man,
isn't that insane? From the 80s.
But bro, I mean that's the difference that you can make, man. Especially with females. Yeah. If you're getting a female that's at the levels, like got the hormone levels of a man, a fit man.
Yeah.
Bro, it's not gonna be the same thing anymore, man. Like,
it's a trip to see like certain women that are really muscular, and then other women are like not even close to that, you know, but they perform at the same level, you know, but the look is different.
Yeah.
It's
like Cyborg and Amanda Nunes.
Yeah. Amanda Nunes she kind of has a more feminine style body, where Chris Cyborg is like jacked.
Even Nunes versus the Venezuelan vixen.
Yeah. Pena.
Yeah. I mean, Amanda Nunes is a thick girl, right? Like she, you know, thick, like carries muscle. Juliana Pena, she still, I mean, I'm not saying Amanda Nunes doesn't look like a woman, but she's definitely thicker, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
You can tell that she's a fighter without speaking to him.
Oh yeah. There's certain fighters like that, you know, in the women's divisions. There's some of them look more muscular. And I'm not saying anything about it. It's just saying that they look more muscular, and then some of them just look feminine. And some of them that look feminine, they'll never be able to get muscular, unless they get on some stuff. Yeah, that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you know how these girls are not on anything, because you just look at their bodies. I think it's more. You think it's more visible in a woman's body?
It really depends, and it would depend on what.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, like there's.
I don't want no one to get offended by that, but you know.
She's using.
Yeah. She has biceps.
Yeah. Come on now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends on their training and what in particular they've been taking. I mean, so you've got your steroids, then you've got your peptides, and then there are SARMs too, which are like another thing, which kind of tell your body to do stuff. So it's selected androgen receptor modules.
Yeah,
so
I've heard of it.
Yeah, so they just tell your body to do something different.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Those are like, that's advanced technology.
Yeah, it's like the newest kind of thing.
Well, I was, you remember Balco?
Yeah.
So the Barry Bonds and, I think there was a documentary recently as well about it. It's very interesting stuff. But the guy was giving Alex Rodriguez, who was like probably one of the most highest paid. I think he made $1 billion in baseball, just contracts, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like what he was making for him was these gummy bears that he could just take in during the game.
Oh.
And they were like activated for a certain time period.
Okay.
And then, I think it was, I don't know, was it HGH? But it was something that he had developed, and it would just like disperse in his body, and then it would be gone within the next 30 minutes.
Okay. So
you know what I mean?
There was some I don't know about.
Maybe I'm fucking stupid and I'm not remembering that right, but like
gone like couldn't test for it.
Yeah, he could test for it.
Oh wow.
Like they were getting that advanced to where like he could just take these little gummy bears. Nobody would know. They just because baseball players are eating things right between innings. Like they switch, So like nobody, there was times where baseball players were smoking in the dugout, right?
Yeah, the old school.
The old school guys, right? But like he was taking these gummy bears. Like he would go into like the 9th inning. And then he would be fully, like no fatigue, just,
Super
like vision is great.
Senzu beans.
Yeah, it's just, what are you eating, Alex? And it's like, these gummy bears are delicious.
No, they're not sharing.
Not sure. But it's like, it's this interesting world, man. Everybody always talks about, we should just have a clean league and a dirty league, but that would just never happen.
It'd be fun, though.
Yeah, it would be fun, but it just wouldn't happen because most people that are dirty, they don't want people to know that they're dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah. They might even be in the gym saying like, I fucking hate dudes. I hate dudes that fucking use, man.
Well, it normally is those guys too that you're like, oh, hang on. Yeah, I mean it's. Yeah. Bro, I know of athletes, even girls too, that there's a really quick acting testosterone. You take it and you fit straight away, pretty much.
Wow.
And I know of girls taking that right before fights, so that they've got that extra, like, aggression or whatever.
That's interesting.
I mean, I don't know how effective it is, but like they've done it.
Yeah. That is interesting.
But,
Well, there's always people working on stuff right now as we speak.
Oh man, yeah. Like the science of all that is becoming like, no one would have known what a peptide was 10 years ago.
No.
And it's like you're not seeing the Mark Kerrs anymore.
Nah.
Like those guys, they're not around now.
No.
Like the stuff's moved on. Like it's like they know, okay, that's bad. Like to a point. Like Mark Kerr, I would assume, we know he's taking like opiates and stuff, but I would also think he was probably taking like things like Trenbolone, which is like super powerful. Like steroid, but it's also one that's like psychoactive, so it makes you more angry, but makes you very strong.
Well, they were the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
They basically made themselves.
Taught us what not to do.
Exactly, right? Like they were really the guinea pigs of the sport. Like now there's like 1,000 Hulk Hogans. You know what I mean? Like even in pro wrestling, those guys are really messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some of the stories about like the wrestlers killing themselves and like they were just drug addicts the whole time.
Yeah, man.
And I was like, damn, how did you even keep a body like that becoming a drug
crazy,
addict
man.
and not eating as much?
The doses that they must be taking are really high too, because they were just carrying so much muscle.
Yeah.
And I mean they're not runners, but they're athletes and they're fit. It's like, man, like if you taking all that stuff, your blood pressure's gonna be real high.
Yeah.
And you're still able to perform like that. Because even the guys that you think is a small wrestler, like, I don't know, like Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, you think, they're pretty skinny guys.
Yeah, but they're not.
They're not, man. And they're like 6 foot something, like big guys. You're like, oh.
Like, if you see them in the street, like, normally, you'd be like, whoa, that's a big motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
like,
just not big next to Kane.
Exactly.
Or someone like that, yeah.
He's like 6'9" or some shit, like 350 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, those dudes are, they're like abnormal.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, that's abnormal.
Specimens, man.
Yeah.
And like, a lot of those wrestler guys, if they were to turn their hand to anything, they'd be able to do well.
Yeah.
You know, they're athletic, man. Like Brock Lesnar proved it.
Yeah.
You know, okay, like, you know, you slate him if you want, but
he just ran through it,
man.
Yeah.
Like, dirty, but, you know, taking stuff, whatever. Okay, but he wouldn't have been the only one there.
No, at that time, yeah, it's just rampant. You know, even now, I feel like it's rampant. Look at like when PFL had those shows in Vegas, the second season, and then they just had to suspend like 10 fighters on their roster because they all got popped.
Wow, yeah.
Just like, I was like, damn, like that hurts a promotion, you know.
Yeah.
But now it's, you know, they got USADA in there doing the testing. So PFL got USADA. The UFC has a drug-free Sports International doing it. They're the ones that does like Olympics, I think.
Okay.
And like some of the big leagues in the US. Bellator, I think they just have the commissions testing the fighters. But actually, Bellator's PFL, so they must be USADA, all of them USADA. But like one championship, I don't know who does their testing. I don't know.
Yeah, they have testing though, right?
Yeah, they do. They do test people, but I don't know who's exactly doing it. But yeah, so Glory's testing because they're suspending fighters, you know, which is I was just surprised by that.
Who've they?
I don't know. I've seen like in the news, you know, recently like fighters getting suspended from Glory for testing positive for stuff.
I think in general, like, I mean, things have moved on a lot. Like, if you look at, like, even K1 back in the day, like, you saw, like, Gokhan Saki.
Okay.
And that people like that, big, strong heavyweights. But they started off at 70 kilos.
Yeah, because Gokhan's not even very tall, and he was fighting at heavyweight, which is insane.
Yeah. And there's loads of other guys like that, too. So I think, like, as time's moving on, we're seeing less and less big guys. Like, even the...
Overeem was insane at that time.
Yeah. I mean, even before Overeem, they were, like, big guys, but, like, Overeem just took it to a different level.
Yeah, but the crazy part was, like, Overeem didn't come as Overeem at that time. You remember, he was, like, a light heavyweight, middleweight fighting, and he was, like, skinny for that, frame.
Didn't he start off in Pride first?
Yeah,
he was in Pride first, and
Chuck
then
Liddell, like, then he just became Ubereem, you know, when he just became, like a G.I. Joe figurine character.
Because
I saw him fight it live.
I remember him looking more like, remember Remy Bonyaski?
Oh, yeah.
I remember
he looked like that.
Like that kind of
original,
frame, like athletic.
Original, and then he just transformed into this massive, and he's back skinny now.
Is he?
Yeah, so I wonder, like, what that does to the inner parts of your body.
Yeah, man. I mean, like the heart and everything's all gonna take a struggle.
All your organs.
But also imagine now if he gets if he like signed to do another fight, he'll know in himself like I could perform at a high level when I was taking everything.
Yeah.
What can he do now? Like, you know, it's
I think he's done. He's not fighting anymore. He's doing other stuff. I don't know exactly what, but.
But I can't help but think that maybe that was a problem for the Vitor faced as well.
Oh, of course.
I mean, but we say about Vitor, but he wasn't actually doing anything illegal at that time.
No, he got an exemption.
Yeah. So,
but then it was Wild West because they didn't put that. I don't think they put that clause in there where like you can't be over a certain limit.
Yeah.
You can take it and you can get the exemption as long as your doctor is approving it.
Kind of
and then you could be my doctor. You'd be like, oh, this is my doctor.
Yeah,
he's gonna write me out. My test results say this.
Yeah,
and
you need to test for 3 men.
Exactly, and then next thing you know, you're TRT Vitor. Like that's the only person that in the history of the sport where your nickname is a steroid. Like and because you were taking it legally, and then we found out Dan Henderson was taking it even before him. You know, and
but yeah, I mean, in that case, like you
that's
can't
just
really blame
that era.
The fighter or the trainer. It's down to
it's
the
just
promotion,
that era, and he knocked Bisping's eye out. You know, that's.
And this is what we talk about with the morals. Like, okay, if you want longevity and everything as a fighter, take it, but you've also got to deal with the karma of it as well. Like, you know, you're going to do damage to other people, but you can also receive more damage. Like there was a time, I didn't actually start TRT until like probably just over 2 years ago now. So I was away from fighting, and then I fought twice since, and both times I've taken time off TRT. Even though, of course, there's no drug testing here. But before then there was a time when I fought and there was a guy that I knew was taking steroids, and for sure, like I mean, I had so many fights, like I've fought other guys that have been using, and because you don't weigh in here, like it's not like in the local stadiums, it's not the same thing. So I think like some fights, like in one championship, for example, like you wouldn't really want to take too much because it's going to be difficult to lose the weight.
Yeah.
But just fighting a local stadium here to like get some experience and stuff, it's different. Like, there's no way in. But I'll say about people that are taking stuff, they don't react the same way to getting hit. Like I was always a pretty strong guy for my weight, and I remember fighting this guy and like hitting him hard. Like it was hard. Like, I remember the next day, like my shoulder was sore because I'd like hooked hard, and he just took it. And I was like, oh no.
That's scary.
Yeah, and like I felt like my like kicking his leg, I felt like my leg just bounced off. It didn't feel the same way. Like there was no, and I don't think he was that tough.
Like he just had that extra armor.
Yeah, something. I mean, like I could be off, but I'm pretty sure that was why.
Yeah, it's a possibility. You just don't know what that does to you and in your central nervous system. Like imagine like if you found something you can take that numbs your body when you fight.
Yeah.
That means you could just take as much damage as
I mean, like for sure they still feel it. It's just something, man. Like, I don't know. But they just don't react the same way. Like it, like their guard is just up tight. Like you hit it in that you're oh man, like
it just doesn't move like as a statue.
Like compared to hitting someone else even the same weight or whatever, you're like okay, like there's a little bit of something, but it just felt different.
Yeah, sounds like me when I get in a fight in my dreams.
Yeah.
Like I swing at them, but it lands, but it's just soft as a pillow in my dreams.
Yeah.
And I'm just fighting nobody. It's like just a figure. It's not even a person.
Wow.
But I know that they're a threat. That's why I'm fighting them.
But do you wake up feeling like a winner? Or?
No, I don't. I just wake up like feeling like, what the hell just happened? Because I was fighting something, but when I landed, it just went like this. But I'm swinging my hardest.
Oh, man,
it's like, just a weird, and I've just had it for years and years.
You should look in the dream dictionary and see what it means.
But I don't really have dreams too much, but that's one of the common ones. Yeah. Maybe that's just me relieving stress or something subconsciously.
Softly.
Yeah, just and I'm fighting my demons or something. I don't know, but that's an interesting conversation, man, about PEDs and steroids, because it's always gonna be no one is never gonna be 100% clean. It's just face the facts. There's people out there always trying to get an edge, and some of the people that you think are like morally elite, probably maybe are not. You know what I mean? They just act that way, but behind the scenes they're obsessed with being great. And that's another thing, is like there's a obsession with being great, and then the people that they will do anything, in case TJ Dillashaw, anything to become the best of the best. You know what I mean? They're just like that competitive. And I think like if you can be that competitive and like not take anything and do many great things, then good for you, man. But I just don't think that you should be competing obviously together with somebody that's taking stuff. But if everybody can take it together, like certain things to like
the peptides, the recovery, for sure.
I think that's the best way.
I think the steroids that allow you to give more damage to somebody else or even receive more damage, that's bad. But if it can help you recover better, you can you can live healthier and everything, then why not? And I think TRT has its place, bro. I'd say outside of fighting, like when you're retired is when you should really be looking at doing that. And I think until then, if you're like, say me, 35, naturally low test, there are ways where you could bring it back up, like just normal supplementation and healthy dieting, lifestyle, but it's tough to do all that, man.